Hello again. So this video is just to bring up some points from the last two videos that I think are important. First of all, what the heck is the purpose of any of this stuff? Um, the first video was all about intention. Base of any type of energy work, you have to learn to work with your intention, which you can call a power of your mind, in order to activate and work with energy. That's basic to all of this stuff, all right? Whether it's meditation, Reiki, any of it. Um, Postures, what are postures for? I used to not get it because you would you'd get into a posture and you'd sit there and be like, okay, what is this supposed to do? How is this activating your sacred? I don't really care. Um, Now, when I started to add energy work to that, I started to notice that very simple postures can take you into an extremely non-ordinary state of consciousness. And on one level, when you're doing a posture, let's say it might be an ancient posture that you can see certain people's doing in sculpture of the time, like an old sacred posture, and this shaman is obviously a shaman, and he's got mushrooms growing out of his head, and he's sitting there, and he's like half turned into a jaguar. Um, you might actually be hearkening back to the energy that people used to, or the state of consciousness that shamans and so on used to get into while participating, while actually doing this posture. Um, that's just one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is that your body is a really sensitive, energetic machine. Again, just doing this is connecting an interesting circuit that can, when you're sensitive enough and when everything is clear enough and you have the ability to move energy quickly, that just by doing this, you can get into an altered state of consciousness. I put altered in quotes because when you start working with this stuff, your consciousness is almost permanently altered. Like there's no real separation between these things. We tend to think of really static states of consciousness. Either you're awake or you're passed out. That's how we frame it in the Western world. Or you can't see, you're somewhere in between. You're in this liminal state and you just need lots of coffee. Come on, it's like that's the only experience that we have in the modern world with different states of consciousness. Or the doctor gave you some really good drugs and now you're just like, wow, this is crazy. Um, when you work with this stuff for long enough, you'll realize how malleable consciousness is, and perception, and awareness, and all of that. And it's constantly changing all the time, depending on where we are, and what we do, and what we intend, and what we don't intend, and what we're paying attention to, and what we're not paying attention to. Consciousness is fickle. So it is up to us to figure out how to be masters of it and to use it to our own advantage and to move within different states of consciousness to affect and empower our own spiritual work, right? That's what this stuff is all about. So, being a sensitive machine, just doing a certain thing, creates a circuit, activating the Akadawa. Now that circuit is full of this crazy alchemical energy that is kind of several levels beyond our own personal bodily chi. It's like we are Earth and it is the solar system kind of thing. And then I've got that stuff moving through me. It not only creates a certain type of consciousness, once those grooves have been cleared out, not only can I go back into that state of consciousness more easily just by doing this mudra. Woo! Yeah, feeling it. Here we go. Already into that mental state, into that different altered state of consciousness, trance, if you want to call it a trance. Not only that, but those different states, based on the different postures, also have to do with different aspects of personal health and things like that. So while I'm doing this and I might be activating my liver meridians or whatever, I'm also going to get into a different state of consciousness just by clearing them out and trying to give myself a leg up in health. So people who pursue this stuff for health reasons and longevity or medical qigong purposes might find themselves having numinous experiences, spiritual experiences. People who get into it for the spiritual reasons, as in I want to be the shaman on the mountain, having like bliss consciousness all the time running through my body, or achieving the Tao, becoming one with the Tao or whatever, will start practicing these things and finding that their health improves naturally, you know. So posture is a huge key to me to bringing out the natural health of the body. Mudra is hand posture. It's the same thing. Or posture can be thought of as body mudra. All right. So keeping the tongue on the roof of the mouth, that's a mudra. Doing this, or this, or this, or this, or this, that's a mudra. Okay? Doing this, that's a posture. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to meditate and I'm going to activate the Akadawa energy in this certain posture, or like sitting down on the floor with my fists on my knees or something, or getting into a certain space and then allowing the energy to fill me up. I'm going to heal the body. I'm going to get into a state that may also connect to a trance state and state of consciousness that my ancestors have shared in. So I'm also evoking this idea, now come into my healing space with this magical Akadua and let this karma be purged. I'm connecting to my ancestors, I'm connecting to that ancient aspect of things. I'm also getting into a different state of consciousness so that I'm working on my ability to handle these states of consciousness as I go through the world, and applying that to my own personal spiritual practice so that I can use that state of consciousness to make a spell better if I want to, or whatever I'm doing, make the ceremony better by actually, channeling this jaguar energy and letting it move through everything that I do. That's how important this stuff is. So, work with the qigong model of the 5 phases qigong, which is really more like Zhanzhuang. Work with the Dantian model, Kadua here, Kadua here, Kadua here. Work with your intention. Add that extra locative element, that location element of what I am tagging the Akadwa to activate in my lower Dantian. Intention, energy flow. I am tagging the Akadwa to activate here. Intention, energy flow, and so on. Work with all of that. Experiment with your own postures. The ones that Coyote recommends are like greeting the sun, because the Akadawa is supposed to have something to do with the sun, and so this is one posture down that way, just triangle man. I am the A. Like that. That will connect to the earth a little bit and start to build energy. Face the sun. Activate the Akadawa. Activate the Akadawa like this. Activate the Akadawa like this. Activate the Akadawa like this. Those are different postures that Coyote recommends, and I think that each one of them is like, this is dawn, this is midday, this is something like that. Those are not the ones that I use, but they're amazingly valid. They're very much like these ones. This one's exactly the same, the ones that I recommended. And you will have tremendous transformative experiences just by getting into these postures and activating the energy. Okay, so that's why I wanted to talk about that. Like, what am I doing? Why are these postures and mudras and things important? Yeah, okay, I get it. I'm clearing out my different meridians or whatever, but what's the point of clearing out the different meridians? I want to go into the trance states now and, walk around in this weird Akadua, fueled state. Well, in order for that to happen, you need to clear this stuff out. By getting into different postures and using different mudras, you are creating a certain space for energy to flow in a certain way so that things can be cleared out. And not just cleared out, but activated and upgraded with the Ikadawa. Okay? So everyone you can think of, even if it's just, touching a chakra point or something like that, and then I'm activating the Ikadawa. We'll work with the chakras a lot later, um, and go through some different sequences. And then ultimately, we will use the Vitriolum formula, which is, I call it just like the master sequence. Actually, it's a sort of key. It's a chakra sequence that activates your body and your field in a very specific way, which is alchemical and good and balancing and empowering. Okay, so I hope that helps clear some things up.